Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, pleased to be joined by Eric Newton, the head football coach of the Canton Cobras, after coming off a big win over Bedford. I believe it's 31-28. If I'm not
Correct.
mistaken. First off, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just trying to get the team focused for week 2 for Howell. So
Yeah. Okay, so before we get to week 2, let's talk about week 1, getting that
yeah.
first win. I know that this program has been through a lot over the last few years, and I know it was a challenge to get that first win, as they
Yes,
all
it
do.
was.
Wins do come. Wins are very hard to get in high school football, but a win is a win, and you got it. How'd you get it done?
Well, we came out pretty fast. I think we scored on our first 4 drives. And then right before 4 minutes before halftime, some lightning hit, or so they said lightning hit, or they saw lightning somewhere. So we had a 30-minute delay. And prior to that delay, Bedford had just hit a big play to get them inside down to our 20-yard line. So then we had 30 minutes, and at that point we were still up 28-0. And then after that break, I don't know if our kids were satisfied or just zapped from the heat, because it was hot down there. And Bedford did a good job of making some adjustments. So credit to them as well. And they just kind of kept chipping away. And then they tied the game up. And then again, credit to our players. They kept grinding it out as well. We got a few stops when we needed to get a few stops in the fourth quarter. And then our offense was able to move the ball enough in that last drive to get us set up for a field goal. So I was very pleased with how our kids responded. Because again, if you give up 28 points after being up 28 points, your kids can easily pack it in, and these kids just kept fighting. So I was very proud of that.
Yeah, and of course that was your first win as a varsity head football coach. First win as a head coach.
Yes.
What a memorable way to get a win.
Yeah, yeah. At first, I was like, okay, we're doing all right, and then you kind of like walking in quicksand. Things got turned real quick. But very, very pleased to get that first one out of the way in the first game.
Yeah,
So
that's gotta feel good. So going into, now going into this week, conference play begins. Obviously, you are very familiar with what this conference is. I know you were on the other side last year, but
yep.
how much do you going into the West Division, got a tough opponent coming up in Howell. They of course won last week against Hudsonville. This is a team that could that has a lot of weapons out there.
Yes, they do. And they do a good job at getting their athletes to where they need to get them. Just out of their base offense, being able to move players different spots without necessarily substituting people. So, they're going to be big and physical. That's what the way they have been for many years. They have a good program, good coaching staff over there as far as getting those guys ready to play. Followed by with guys that I know they have a D1 commit that people keep telling me about. I've heard the name. I know who he is. We watched film on him, so there's no secret to what's coming to town here in 2 days. So just trying to get our kids ready, for a football game, because again, right, it's going to take all 11 guys on the field and all 30 guys on the sideline to be involved in this game. So that's just what the coaching staff has been trying to get these kids ready to do. Again, you can't really prepare for size if you don't have kids that big, but we just got to make sure we're matching our effort and our intensity throughout the week to be ready to go on a Friday night.
Yeah. Okay. So this is also your first home game as a head coach. What does that mean to coach to get to coach your first game at home?
Again, I'm excited to be a part of the staff on campus teaching at the school. I'm just hoping we get a good turnout, and that we're competitive and ready to play. Not necessarily for me, but these seniors, right? It's their first home game. I want to try and get these players, those kids, the right opportunity to have them prepared and ready to go so they can have a memorable senior year. I mean, that's kind of my message to them all summer since I've gotten here. They're going to help rebuild this program. They're going to leave the legacy. They're going to be the foundation of this rebuild. So I'm just hoping we get a good turnout from the student body because it's the first home game for first week of school. And hopefully it's loud enough and more distracting for them than us.
Yeah, that's another point as well. I mean, you guys went back to school on Tuesday.
Yep.
How are the kids getting used? I know it's only been a few days, but how are the kids getting used to going to school, going to practice, and then going home?
I mean, so far, what's today? Wednesday. So it's our first full day of school. We had a half day yesterday. So, I mean, we'll see how practice goes today. I mean, typically you get that first full day, practices aren't that great. Energy is a little bit low. So, like, you know, we've talked to the players. I've talked to the coaching staff. Like, we know how a lot of us coached long enough to know that that first full day of school practice is not necessarily great, but we got to make it as good as we can make it. Because again, we're gonna have a game regardless of we're tired or not. So, and I don't know when Howell went back to school. I don't know if they're on the same schedule as
I
us.
went back to school a few weeks ago.
Okay, so I mean they're in their school schedule, so they're probably a little more adjusted than we are. But again, right, we're both gonna have a full day of school on Friday. So the only difference is we don't have a hour bus ride.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, and also last thing, what do you feel like you guys need to do to get a big win against a really, really good team?
I mean, very similar to Bedford, right? So their offense, like we know what they're gonna try to do. Like we've got to make sure we read our keys, know our assignments, and let's everyone on offense and defense is doing what they're supposed to do, to the best of their abilities. And again, if we're gonna miss an assignment, it's gonna be a long night for us. So we got to have more good plays on offense and defense than we do bad plays.
For sure. All right. Well, Eric, thanks so much for the time. Congrats on the win in week 1 and best of luck this week against Howell.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate it.